Hello, everybody. Today, I have made a video for you that is a compilation of the 4 videos in the Creepy and Disturbing Things Iceberg. This is just going to be those 4 videos all put together with the intros and outros removed to allow for a continuous viewing experience. I hope that you enjoy it. It's not going to contain any new content or anything new from those videos. The only reason I'm even really uploading this is because I wanted to upload a video in the interim of an Iceberg video that I'm making. I'm currently in the process of not only creating a very massive iceberg, but also wanted to make a very comprehensive and just good video entertaining a lot of the entries, or all of the entries, and I want to make a few videos based off of that iceberg. It's taking a lot longer than I thought it would, so I figured in the meantime I would release this video. So I don't know when I will have the video done, but I wanted to release this one for you, so I hope you enjoy this one. If you've already viewed the previous icebergs, there's no new content for you here. If you want to stay around and watch the video, feel free to, but if not, I completely understand. If you haven't watched any of the previous iceberg videos, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I don't want to keep you too much longer as this is already a very long video, so I thank you for watching, and enjoy. One Man, One Jar. Starting off with one that I'm unfortunately familiar with. One Man, One Jar is a 2008 video showing a Russian man named Alexei Tatarov sitting on a glass jar, allowing the jar to, well, go inside of him. You can guess where this goes. The glass jar eventually breaks, well, inside of him, and you can guess how that went. There isn't a whole lot more to say on this one. He did wind up being okay, and I'm sure he lived a perfectly normal life afterwards. So yeah, that's it for that one. 1x1x1x1. 1x1x1x1 is a supposed hacker on the Roblox game service. It was actually a test account created in 2008, however a rumor began to spread that the account was actually a hacker and would be able to do things to people's Roblox accounts such as terminate them, take stuff away, take away their virtual in-game currency, and other malicious things. These rumors were later confirmed to be false by a man named Mr. Doombringer, a Roblox community member who was in on the jokes and rumors. The rumors were thought to have been created by a man named Shedletsky, who made the rumors up to have some fun with kids on the service. Abandoned by Disney. Abandoned by Disney is a creepypasta that can be dated back to around the early 2010s, and as the story goes, a man named Wolf goes into an abandoned Disney-themed island known as Mowgli's Palace, inspired by the movie The Jungle Book. Looking around, he is expecting to find an old, decaying theme park, however, he finds a lot worse. Immediately upon entering the island, he notices above the main gate, in black paint, reads, "Abandoned by Disney." He continues on to the island, and proceeded to notice that everywhere is written "Abandoned by Disney," in the bathrooms, in the kitchen, and many other places. He brings along a digital camera to take pictures of the place, and had been doing so for the time that he was there. As he continues to venture in, he begins hearing very strange noises, as if people are having a conversation. Not thinking much of it, he moves on and eventually finds a staircase leading underground to an area that says "Mascots Only. Thank you." Excited to maybe see some old costumes, he enters, eventually coming across a room labeled Character Prep 1. He tries opening the door for several minutes and it will not budge. As he's walking away, the door slightly creaks open. Confused as to why the door would open after trying for so many attempts, he walks in anyways to a pitch black room. On the ground he notices an old Mickey Mouse costume, however it's not normal. It's a negative color version of the standard one as seen here. Not thinking too much of it, he also notices a Donald Duck outfit, to which he takes the mask off of and outrolls a human skull. As he is going to take a picture of it, the Mickey Mouse costume springs to life and exclaims, "Do you want to see my head come off?" shortly before tearing off its head and tearing at its neck, removing visceral chunks of flesh and begins bleeding yellow goo. As he is fleeing, he notices above the mascot's door reads, abandoned by God. A very creepy creepypasta, and one that did scare a lot of people, and one that I'm sure you remember fondly if you were into creepypastas back in 2010s. A Game Anom counterpart. This entry is a story about someone who finds an old tape in a Japanese forest. On this tape, the first few seconds seems pretty normal, showing standard 1960s cartoons, before eventually a blood-curdling scream is heard, and a baby's face appears on screen. The baby's face constantly appears on screen, showing other video clips with the screaming still in the background. However, in one scene, the screen flashes yellow, and then next, you see the baby that's head has been removed from its body, and that's the best way I can put that without being removed from YouTube. The second to last scene then depicts what looks like a human standing in place, twitching, before cutting to black. The supposed screams in the video are the weirdest part about it, and supposedly are linked to a Japanese rape case where two men raped a high school girl and then killed her. They filmed it and were never caught. They supposedly put the screams on the tape because the tape was overwritten with the cartoons, however, the screams for some reason were not. Anti-piracy screens. So I believe this is referring to the Nintendo anti-piracy screens, which are not real. However, there is very detailed art of people creating these screens, which depict just sort of uncanny valley, sort of strange visuals, showing characters being locked up or other things, with some very strange music saying that piracy is a crime and you should return the game immediately to the authorities. Some of these are just really intense, really weird and unnerving, but like I said, these screens never actually existed and were in fact a hoax, but very cool to see nonetheless. Fantastic Adventures. Fantastic Adventures was a YouTube channel created and ran by Michelle Hobson in the year 2012. This channel would involve her and her adopted children, and she would film the general antics that they got up to throughout the day. However, these videos were staged. They showed the lives of kids who were acting, and because they were acting, this mother thought it was a great idea to punish her children by beating them, not feeding them, and even sometimes pepper spraying them if they didn't act correctly, they didn't say a line correctly, or they just messed up in general. It wasn't until one of Michelle's biological children noticed the abuse and phoned the authorities, to which they had the children taken away. They took her to court, however, she was released due to not being capable of standing trial. She passed away 3 months later after the trial ended, and all of her children were put into the foster care system. A very good role model, and a person that I'm sure not a lot of people are going to miss for what she did. Goatsy. This one is a little too much for YouTube, so I don't think I'm not gonna post the picture here. If you want to go look it up at your own peril. Just know it involves a man spreading his cheeks open a little too far, and yeah, it's a very intense picture that was used as sort of a shock photo back in the late 2000s. Have you seen this man? So this is in reference to this man. There's a website dedicated to this man, and there's a picture of him. The story goes that a therapist was seeing a client once, and he was asked to draw a picture of a man that he had been seeing in his dreams, to which this picture was what the man drew. The therapist, not thinking much of it, left it on his desk, and until another client came in and said they had seen that same man in their dreams as well. So he began asking all of his clients if they had seen him, and a staggering amount said yes, they had seen him in their dreams. So he gave the picture to other therapists who also asked if they had seen him in their dreams, to which a lot of them said that as well. A very creepy one, a very disturbing one, and the real question is, have you seen this man in your dreams? Hell Valley Sky Trees. Hell Valley Sky Trees is in reference to these creatures seen in the final level, World S, of Super Mario Galaxy 2. These things sit extremely far out in the distance, and they can be seen at any point throughout the level, just staring at you. They never move, interact with anything, talk. They don't do anything, they just sit there, staring blankly at you. We may never know what these things are, a very creepy Easter egg though, and one I'm sure a lot of Mario fans know. I'm sorry, John. So this one I assume refers to a post made on the Garfield Reddit, which appears to be Garfield the cat having to kill his owner John because he has been quote-unquote bitten. Bitten by what? I do not know, but the graphic is really disturbing, the comic is very disturbing, and yeah, I'm sure Garfield fans really like this one. Jolene Cranley Evans Ghost. This entry refers to a ghost that can be seen in GTA 5 on Mount Gordo during the nighttime between the times of 12 a.m. and 3 a.m. This is the deceased wife of Jock Cranley, who was pushed to her death by Jock Cranley on March 14th of 1978. She haunts the area, and the place above where she floats reads, Jock in Blood. A very spooky Easter egg for people who came across it not knowing where it was, but a very spooky Easter egg for anyone knowing it's still there. Limbo. Limbo is a game created by Playdead in July of 2010. This is a very good, however very depressing game. The game is played entirely in black and white, and the story goes, you as a nameless boy are in search of your sister. The game is pretty straightforward, however has some very strange occurrences that happen, such as random people chucking spears at you, and even tires at you, to you having to fight a giant spider that is attempting to kill you and eat you. Eventually, at the end of the game, you eventually do find your sister, and the game cuts to black. A very good ending, however a very dour one when you realize that the entire game takes place with you playing as a dead child in search of his dead sister, and both of you are on the edge of hell, also known as Limbo. A very sad and depressing way to play the game knowing that information, but still a great game that I recommend you check out. Little Baby's Ice Cream. So this is a video made as a commercial for the Little Baby's Ice Cream Company. I do believe this was actually a genuine commercial made for this company. I don't believe it ever aired on TV, but it shows what appears to be a woman covered, I assume, head to toe in ice cream and eating it while staring very strangely and creepily without blinking into the camera. There's not much really to talk about this one. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this video at some point. And quite frankly, this one is really strange and really weird, and I don't want to keep talking about it just because of how creepy it is, so let's move on. Lost media. So this entry, I believe, is just referring to the general aspect of what lost media is and not one specific type of lost media. So I will be going over what lost media is as a whole. Lost media is when a clip of a movie or TV show to commercials to even entire episodes of TV shows, entire seasons, entire movies, music, art, any type of media is lost in partial or in its entirety. Most of these are related to TV shows or commercials and even some movies, and lost media is a very strange subject as the lost media typically will either be found in very strange or unique ways, or it will never be found at all due to the fact it's been basically wiped from the face of the earth. The most common of these lost medias is TV shows like game shows from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, as after the show was broadcast, in favor of new shows, they would wipe the tapes of the old shows, and the only way that these old shows could be found is through home recordings or other forms of media. A very good subject lost media is. I really do like talking about it, and if you guys want to see on the channel more lost media, or just any lost media for that matter, I haven't made a video on it. But if you would like to see me talk about specific types of lost media or just shows that are lost or movies, I would love to talk about them. I love the subject, and you'll notice as I give praise to certain people who talk about that throughout the video. Marina Mortegard Glesgorv. Marina Mortegard Glesgorv is a YouTube video that surfaced in 2008 and shows a man standing with a red hue in background before then going into the camera and staring very creepily for the final 2 seconds. However, supposedly this is only a fraction of the original video, which was over 2 minutes long. The original video had to be removed by YouTube due to the disturbing imagery, causing 153 people to tear out their own eyes and sending them to YouTube staff in their main office in San Bruno. The only videos that still exist are snippets of the clip. Yeah, this is just a really creepy one. Of course, it's just an internet legend. It didn't actually happen, but I remember watching the quote-unquote original Marina Mortegard Glesgorv video back around 2009, 2010. It was one of the first ever YouTube videos I watched, and this one has a very special place in my heart just due to it being so unique in what it was for how I started looking up YouTube content, so this one has a special place in my heart. Paris Catacombs. The Paris Catacombs are a over 200-mile long tunnel network within Paris, France. It was started around 1810 and continued expanding onwards, as during that time people were dying so much that cemeteries began filling up, and with nowhere to place the bodies, they began storing them underground in this tunnel network, and it is estimated that upwards of at least 6 million bodies are within these walls. A very creepy place to go, and one that for the most part, over 98% of it is not accessible to the public due to its extensive length and people having gotten lost in the past before and dying within its walls. A very scary and creepy place, but one you can always go look at. Pink Elephants. Pink Elephants, or Pink Elephants on Parade, is a song from the 1941 Disney film Dumbo. In the film, Dumbo gets drunk and begins hallucinating the aforementioned pink elephants, which are a euphemism for the hallucinations that you see when you are drunk. Kids everywhere were terrified of this animation due to its very off-putting colors of black and pink and the sort of dead soulless looking elephants. The animation actually is very good and should be very well respected for, well, the time that it came out. However, most kids didn't see it as a respectable animation. They were more or less just terrified of it when they first saw it. Polybius. Polybius is an urban legend about a mysterious arcade game that appeared in certain places like pubs and arcades in Portland, Oregon in the year 1981. Gameplay was supposedly extremely intense with bright flashing colors and extreme action sequences, and the game was supposedly used by the United States government as a way to continue the form of Project MKUltra and continue their mind control experiments. The game was supposedly so addicting that people had to be forced to stop playing, kicked out of the places where it was played. However, most of them would return to continue playing it, and people would even fight over playing the game itself. People who played the game, however, reported having horrible side effects like seizures, night terrors, insomnia, hallucinations, and much more. Despite this, they continued to want to play it, but supposedly, Men in Black would periodically come to tamper with the machine to supposedly pull data, and they never ever actually took any money, they just wanted data from the computer inside. All the machines disappeared as soon as they showed up, and they have not been seen since. The legend of this is actually so unbelievably popular that people and fans recreated not just the arcade cabinet that it was supposedly based off of, but the game itself. And you can go look up gameplay, and you can go look at the arcade cabinet. It's a very cool piece of not just gaming history, but just a cool piece of internet history. Poppy the Performer. So this is a really strange one that I had actually never heard of until the making of this video. So this is a show created for Japanese children, and I know I'm probably going to butcher this, but it was created by Ryuji Masuda, and it was created in January of 2001. The show only ran until December of 2001, so not even a full year. However, it totaled 39 4 to 5 minute episodes and one special that was made in January of 2003. The show is known for having no dialogue whatsoever, and that was caused by its very low budget. It's also known for having some of the most terrifying visuals of any cartoon probably ever released. As well as, I don't understand how this was a kid's show due to it supposedly having over 79 confirmed deaths within its 39 episodes. A very strange kid's show with extremely creepy and disturbing animation, and one that you probably should skip unless you're really interested. Red Rooms. Red Rooms are a internet legend that have surfaced basically since the dawn of the internet, saying that on the dark web and the deep web, there are rooms where people are kept tied to chairs or floors or whatever it may be, and they are beaten, tortured, and even in some cases, killed. Typically, these are considered to be live streaming services where people can bid on what happens to the person and how they will die. This one is probably real, however, in the way that people say it is, it probably is not. That it is not on the deep web because you can't even live stream on the deep web. So it probably actually does exist, just not in the way people think it does. A very creepy concept, and yeah, that's all that has to be said about this one. Romero's Head. Romero's Head refers to an Easter egg that can be seen of one of the lead creators of Doom, John Romero. His head is cut off and stuck on a pole in a secret room in the final level of Doom 2. The only way to access this Easter egg is through cheating, and you do it by getting behind the final boss's face in order to see the room. This is a very cool one, and a very cool Easter egg for all Doom fans, and I'm sure they'll get a very big kick out of it. Slayer album covers. So this is in reference to the band Slayer, a thrasher metal band in which their album covers depict some very disturbing and demonic imagery. From people burning in hell to even Lucifer himself, these album covers are just very creepy and not something kids are going to enjoy seeing most likely. Sonic Drowning Theme. The Sonic Drowning Theme is a sound effect that plays when you are underwater in the first Sonic game. The closer you are to running out of oxygen and dying, the louder and more intense the music will get. And just overall, it is a very creepy and disturbing sound that, while inadvertently isn't necessarily scary, just is very off-putting. It's a very strange choice for a kid's game. However, we're going to see a lot of strange decisions for children's media in this video. Submechanophobia. Submechanophobia is the fear of man-made objects, whether they be partially or fully submerged in water. Kind of like this shark statue. The problem is it's not just this shark statue or other creepy things that makes this fear strange. It's the fact that it's any sort of man-made object. From cars to planes to houses to even very just strange things like buoys or even just debris. People with this fear, I'm sure, don't like going near the ocean whatsoever, and probably for good reason. The ocean's pretty scary. The Candyman game. The Candyman game is a game in which you attempt to summon a demon called Candyman, and then, subsequently, he will attempt to drag you down to the deepest pits of hell. So don't attempt this game at all. It isn't real, but if it was, in the off chance that I'm actually wrong, let's tell you the steps, and these are, and I quote, Step 1, step into a dark bathroom. Step 2, face the mirror and make eye contact with yourself. Step 3, you repeat the phrase Candyman 5 times. Candyman will now try to drag you to hell. If you don't want to suffer this fate, you must exit the room, and while doing so, you must stare at your own face. And then you must close the bathroom door and turn all the lights on. So if you do this ritual, don't get mad at me if a family member or a friend gets dragged down to hell for doing this ritual incorrectly. So just don't even attempt this one.
I feel like the candle's flickering way more than it was.
Oh my gosh, it is.
Wait, just stop after I said that. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. What the heck? Oh no! Oh shoot! Come here. Oh my god! Oh my god! What to do?
Jersey Devil. The Jersey Devil is an urban legend of a devil-like creature that was born to a woman in Pine Barrens, New Jersey in 1735. Her name was Jane Leeds, and after having 12 children, was pregnant with her 13th child. Because of this, she grew ever frustrated, and she cursed the child, and on one stormy night in 1735, she gave birth in the presence of some friends who were there to help her. The baby was born, however, it began to sprout hooves for feet, a forked tail, bat wings, and a goat's head. It began attacking her friends, and eventually it flew out of the chimney and hasn't been seen since. Well, it has been seen as seen in these pictures, which are very authentic. Supposedly Jane Leeds was a witch, and the father was the devil himself. So, a very creepy one, and actually, the Jersey Devil was the inspiration for the New Jersey Devils, and that is a hockey team that uses that name, so the more you know. The Walton Files. The Walton Files is a YouTube series created by Martin Walls. These videos are very eerie and have very creepy but good 2D animation. They take heavy inspiration from the Five Nights at Freddy's game series and the Five Nights at Freddy's VHS tapes, which are of course spin-offs of the Five Nights at Freddy's games, which are pretty interesting. So if you're into those, go check out the Walton Files. There's only 3 episodes at the time of writing this, but I believe he intends to create more. Go check them out if you have the time. $11B-X-1371. So this entry refers to a video created in 2015 of a person standing in an abandoned building wearing a plague doctor mask and does some extremely weird motions and gestures, with a very creepy, eerie, and disturbing sound playing over the entire video. The video has lots of hidden messages that can be seen through spectrograph or Morse code, and even the title itself, when converted to binary, will actually translate and spell out muerte, Spanish for death. The video was later proven to be no more than an art project done by Parker Wright. However, prior to this confirmation, many people believed it was a warning of death, to a warning of plague, to even an upcoming rise of a terrorist organization. A very creepy video that I will leave a link to in the description. Anthroplanes. This one I don't really want to talk about. I'm just going to give a quick summary of. As seen in this picture, and this is the best possible picture of this subject, and you're going to understand why in a second, anthroplanes is an art form in which people draw anthropomorphic, overly sexualized airplanes. And that goes for any kind of airplane, most commonly commercial airplanes. And no, I am not joking, this is an actual thing that exists. So look this one up if you hate yourself, and I don't want to talk about this one anymore. BND logo. The BND logo is an ending card for a TV company in Russia called VID, or translated BND. In Russian, their logo is an acronym translating to Glance and Others. This company has been around since 1987, and they've made different TV shows such as spin-offs or rip-offs of game shows from America like Wheel of Fortune or even Jeopardy. Aside from that, there's nothing inadvertently creepy about it other than their logo, which is just this face. Yeah. Other than that, not much to talk about this one. Not so fun fact, the creator of this company, Vlad Listyev, was shot to death in his apartment on March 1st, 1995, and apparently it was not for money reasons because all of his possessions were on him and in his apartment. So this was done by somebody who just didn't like him, and the killers were never caught. Bootleg Felix the Cat Game Over screen. This entry refers to a game over screen that can be seen in supposed Russian bootleg copies of the Felix the Cat game for Sega Genesis. The game over screen depicts Felix normally as he would, however in the final few seconds it shows him having his face completely torn off and him standing in a puddle of his own blood. Apparently, like I said, this is only in Russian versions of the game. I don't think this one is real. I believe this is similar to the fake anti-piracy screens we talked about. However, this one could be real, or it just is really good art for a sort of creepypasta. So let me know if that one's real or not. I don't think it's real, but it could very well. Brian Peppers. Brian Peppers was this man, and this man was convicted of gross sexual imposition in 1998 in Lucas County, Ohio. His appearance is most likely caused to Grue zone syndrome, which is the reason this picture is so famous, is, well, because of his unfortunate appearance. He did pass away in 2012, and other than the fact of his unusual appearance and the fact that he was a sexual predator, there is not much to say on this one. Burger King Pokemon recall ad. So this is in reference to an advertisement ran from late 1999 to 2000 in which Burger King had to exclaim on commercial that their Pokeball toys that they released in the early 1999 were a choking hazard, and therefore they asked parents to either throw them away or return them to the Burger King establishment because when the ball was split in half, it became a very high choking hazard for children to eat and suffocate.
Burger King and the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission want you to know about the voluntary recall of this Pokemon Pokeball. The ball may pose a suffocation hazard to children under 3. Throw the ball away or return it to Burger King. The safety of your child is of the utmost importance to us.
This came after, in December 11th of 1999, a 13-month-old child was found dead after she had split the ball in half and suffocated. A very unfortunate thing. Thankfully, there were no more deaths caused by it. The recall was dealt with swiftly, but it did have to come at a cost of a child. Cannibal Corpse album covers. Cannibal Corpse album covers is, well, these album covers. Very reminiscent of the Slayer album covers that we talked about earlier. However, these ones are a lot more graphic and disturbing, depicting things that, well, are very sadistic. I'm probably not going to show these. However, you can go look them up if you want to. They were created by a man named Vincent Locke, who is known for having a very violent past. Not very surprising there. So yeah, very disturbing, very creepy, and definitely are a lot worse than the Slayer album covers. Cannibal Holocaust. Cannibal Holocaust was a film made by, and I know I'm going to butcher this, Ruggero Deodato, and Gianfranco Clarisi. The film was released on January 1st of 1979 to the dismay of every person who watched it. The movie depicts extreme scenes of torture, murder, and other probably even more disturbing graphic content that I can't talk about on YouTube. The movie used a found footage format and was a footage of people who wound up in this cannibal Holocaust jungle. It is extremely dark, extremely graphic, and I strongly recommend you only research the movie, and if you have the stomach to, watch it. The Charlie Charlie Challenge. The Charlie Charlie Challenge is a challenge where you would write on a piece of paper like this, yes and no, and then you would balance a pencil in the center of the paper and have another pencil sitting on top of it. You would then ask the phrase, Charlie Charlie, are you there? To which the pencil would then move. If the pencil moved to yes, you could play. If the pencil moved to no, you were not allowed to play. The game would begin and you could ask Charlie any yes or no questions you'd like. You had to ask Charlie Charlie, can I leave, in order to leave, and if it said no, you were not allowed to leave until he said you could leave. This one is just another sort of game where you try to summon a demon. It's not real. However, a lot of kids did believe it was real, which leads me to wonder, why are children trying to summon demons and have them take their souls or haunt them or possess them or whatever? Why would they do that with games like Bloody Mary or even like the Candyman game we talked about? It's just really strange why kids would want to do that.
Charlie, Charlie, do I have genital herpes? There's obviously something wrong with it.
Corpse Party. Corpse Party is a video game series made by Makoto Keidoin. Yeah, I probably said that wrong. And it is a game series. However, for this video, I'm going to be just briefly going over the summary of the first game. The game's story revolves around some Japanese high school students who, while telling ghost stories in the school that is now closed, are sucked into an alternate dimension after an earthquake. And yeah, pretty typical sort of Japanese RPG stuff. However, the game has some extremely dark and disturbing content that is shown and talked about, with themes of depression, violence, and other very graphic things. A very good game the first one is, and a very good game series as a whole. I recommend you check them out if you got the time. L, Luigi's Mansion. L is an unused boss in the 2001 game Luigi's Mansion. This boss can be found using Action Replay and replacing Toad in the foyer. This thing will replace it, and apparently only had a few animations. It is completely untextured and doesn't move, doesn't go anywhere. And it's just a very interesting and strange piece of Mario history that I do not believe is in the Luigi's Mansion remake. However, it is still in the original, and you can always look it up on YouTube. Every 90s commercial ever. So this is a YouTube skit made by Desmond Dolly that I actually have never heard of until the making of this video. The video starts out pretty normal, poking fun at late 90s, early 2000s commercials, with a lot of the tropes that those commercials had. The story goes as the kids want to go to a park and play football with a football celebrity, and their mother gives them this strange juice that when they drink it, they turn into this gray goo. Pretty standard for what you would see in a 2000s commercial. They fly over to the park, and then when they arrive at the park, they turn into a disgusting Cronenberg creature that begins attacking people and melting off another kid's face. Everyone runs away, not before a flamethrower is pulled out and burns the Cronenberg to death, at least we assume it does. The surviving people and the football star return back home, and everything seems normal as they eat pizza bites before shortly after the mother is killed by the creature. And yeah, it's just a very strange video, very well directed and pretty good overall, like, you know, art, but this is just a very strange one you should definitely check out. Fake console kill screens. This one is sort of similar to the fake anti-piracy screens, in which it would show where if the console was supposedly broken, it would show a sort of screen on something like a PS2 or an Xbox saying to call the Microsoft Corporation or Sony Corporation and ask for help to repairing the console. Just sort of another uncanny valley, sort of creepy picture that came along with it. Of course, these were fake. However, they're very detailed in the ones that were made by fans and other people, and yeah, go give them a look. Ghost in Three Men and a Baby. So I had never heard of this movie, Three Men and a Baby, and so I thought this was going to be a really weird one when I read the name of it, but there is a movie named Three Men and a Baby that released in 1987. And in one of the scenes, you can see somebody standing in the background, and they're just kind of standing there. They don't do or say anything or move. They're just standing there. And people had created rumors that a young boy had died in the soundstage that they were recording in. However, this was later confirmed by Tom Selleck, one of the actors of the movie, that the story was completely made up, and it actually was in fact a cardboard cutout of another actor that was in the movie, Ted Danson, with a top hat on. I don't honestly know if that explanation is any better than the ghost one, because why would you have a cardboard cutout of another actor who stars in that movie in that scene? Maybe it's normal to do that, I don't know, I don't work on movies, but very strange one nonetheless. Gregory's Room. Gregory's Room is somehow probably the creepiest thing we've seen on the list so far, and this is a video supposedly made in 1999 and was a rejected Nick Jr. pilot. The video shows extremely horrible 3D animation, showing a very poorly rendered character with extremely realistic looking eyes, and in place of where its mouth should be is a real person's mouth saying all the words and narrating along with the words that are being spoken. The video is extremely off-putting throughout the entire thing, as at one point he says we can stare into the fire together while you are sitting in the fire, and he stares directly at you for, what is it, like 8 seconds? Something like that. Very creepy.
Oh, I didn't see you there. Hello, I'm Gregory, and this is my room. We're going to have so much fun together, just the two of us. We can look at the stars together. We can read a book together. We can stare into the glorious flames of the fireplace together.
And afterwards he says that Gregory needs love, and that you're in here with me and nobody can hear you scream, not even the police. A very strange one. If you have a minute to spare, go check it out, but just a very creepy, creepypasta sort of thing. Gus Fring's death. So this is talking about in the show Breaking Bad, and spoilers if you haven't seen the show. Antagonist of the show, Gustavo Fring, is killed by a wheelchair bomb, and after the explosion, he walks out of the room where the explosion went off, and half of his face is completely removed with some very good and highly detailed makeup done by some very good artists, and that is what gives the scene some very just iconic sort of feel around it. Not so realistic death, but an iconic death from an iconic character from an iconic show. So go look it up if you haven't seen it. Henry Eats. Henry Eats is a 2003 short written and made by Ben Wheatley. Ben Wheatley? Something like that. And features some of the most crude animation I think I've ever seen. This is another extremely weird one, as nobody really knows what's going on in the video. You don't even know who Henry is. All you see is a bunch of creatures and a man eating each other, and yeah, it's just a very creepy and disturbing one, and it's about 5 minutes long, so go look at it if you have the time, but just know it's very creepy. Icelandic folklore. So this one I believe is just kind of referring to the general sort of folklore surrounding Iceland and how they believe in just things like elves, dwarves, fairies, and other mystical beings. Who knows if these beings actually exist, but apparently upwards of 55% of people who live in Iceland do believe they exist, and is a big part of their heritage and culture, so very interesting to go research. Kinder Surprise Humpty Dumpty commercial. So this one is probably the worst one on the entire list. I went through every single thing on the list, and for me personally, this one is just the worst one that I had to look at. It is not inadvertently gory or graphic, it just has the most terrifying character design I have ever seen. So this commercial was made in what I believe was 1983, and is a commercial for the Kinder Chocolate Company that was ran in the UK. And it features the worst looking model of any character ever put to television, in which it features Humpty Dumpty, if you can even call this thing that, getting very excited over the Kinder egg which contains a toy inside of it, before subsequently falling off the wall he is sitting on.
Kinder, you both shaky. Me unscrabbly. Chock-a-doobie! Doubly chock-a-doobie! Pop swabble! Toy! Yodel yum and choco scrum with multi pop swabble dies! Oh, grubbly! Me scrubble now! Snuggle! Whee!
Kinder Surprise from Ferrero.
It's just the very creepy voice and the horrible, horrible look of Humpty Dumpty in this that really recommends that you skip this one. Like, I recommend strongly that you skip this one unless you really want to see it. So, yeah, go look this one up at your own peril. Klasky Supo. Klasky Supo is a TV show company founded in 1982 which helped produce hit kids shows for Nickelodeon like Rugrats and The Wild Thornberrys. A pretty normal company, and nothing too inadvertently creepy about them. However, their logo is very, very strange. Not inadvertently terrifying, just really uncanny valley sort of vibes, and just a strange one for a kids company. LSD Dream Emulator. So this is a game released for the PlayStation on October 22nd of 1998. The game is described as a first-person adventure, and there are no actual goals to achieve in the game. You simply walk in a sort of dreamlike landscape that has very strange art designs simulating what it would be like to be on LSD. As seen in these pictures, the game is very strange and weird, and like I said, there's not any goals to it, you just walk around through this landscape. Lisa the Painful. Lisa the Painful is a very, very just depressing game, and the game features a man in which the goal is to simply survive a post-apocalyptic wasteland. You'll have to make very depressing and life-changing decisions within the game that affect the entire game and the output of it. The game is so just dour and depressing that even the Steam description states, "The miserable journey of a broken man." And another quote within Steam saying, "A life-ruining gaming experience." A truly depressing game, but one with a pretty beautifully constructed story. It's very well designed, and I recommend that you watch or even purchase it on Steam. Max Headroom Incident. The Max Headroom Incident was a station hijacking that happened on November 22nd of 1987. Two stations, which were broadcasting to thousands of live viewers, were hijacked, to which they showed a man wearing a Max Headroom mask. And for those of you who don't know who Max Headroom is, it is a character that is an AI that is portrayed by a man named Matt Frewer. With that out of the way, the man wearing the Max Headroom mask was saying very incoherent but very strange things while rambling. And at one point he can even be seen being spanked by another man with a fly swatter. And he says very strange things such as, "They're coming to get me." A very weird one, a real life one that actually did happen, and one that has never actually been solved as to who did the hijacking, who the people were, or why they did it. A very weird one for sure. Mr. Meaty. Mr. Meaty was an animated Nickelodeon TV show that ran from the years of 2005 to 2009. The show follows two teens named Josh and Parker and their adventures working at a fast food place called Mr. Meaty. The show is known for using puppets. However, more than that, it is known for having really disgusting gross-out humor. And probably the most notorious of these gross-out jokes was in one episode, one of the two main characters, Josh, gets a tapeworm after eating a raw hamburger. After, through many different antics, eventually fishing it out of him, they trap it in a cage, to which an Australian man comes in and wishes to purchase the tapeworm. After purchasing it, he lets the tapeworm enter his mouth into his body, and yeah, one that scarred a lot of children. I don't know how this show was ever debuted on Nickelodeon, why it was ever greenlit, but if it was, I really don't know how this episode ever got by them. An extremely strange show, and just a very gross show overall. Palm Tree. Pam Tree? It's either Pam Tree or Palm Tree. Pam Tree is a YouTube channel that makes, and I know I've said this many times, and I'm going to continue to say this as many times as I want because there is no other way to describe some of these things. Very creepy and crudely made animations is what they specialize in, with extremely horrible text-to-speech. They've posted things like SpongeBob, Garfield, and even Minecraft videos with all of these effects in play. Nothing really sinister about the channel, just a very creepy, off-putting one. Pilot Red Sun, an entry very similar to the last one, as it is just a channel that makes extremely strange and off-putting animations. Nothing very inadvertently bad about this one. It just contains very muffled audio that surprisingly isn't text-to-speech. It is in fact a real person saying these things, and when you watch these videos you will question that, but I did my research on this one. Now, however, I cannot say it is a real person who makes the animations due to it kind of feeling like AI-generated art.
Hey, I need some air. Point that air at me.
Just a very strange YouTube channel, and nothing inadvertently sinister, just very creepy. Pinocchio original novel. So this one here is talking about the original novel that the movie company Disney used to produce their movie Pinocchio. So to keep it brief, Pinocchio is basically the same as he is in the movie in this book, except in this version in the book he kills Jiminy Cricket, his feet are burned off, and he is hanged from a tree. A very strange story, and is kind of a trend for Disney to take very dark and depressing stories and give them happy endings. A strange decision by Disney to go based off of these, but it seems to work out for them in the end. Pizza Time Pizza. This is a commercial for a real-life pizza establishment that isn't actually from the establishment themselves. It was a commercial created by somebody who probably really likes their pizza, and the commercial depicts a man who eats the pizza and then is told by, I assume, the owner to join their cult and kill their parents.
Here at Pizza Time Pizza, we don't use any preservatives or fake ingredients. We only use fresh, farm-grown, organic ingredients.
Site.com/pizzatimepizza. Kill your parents. Kill your parents. Kill your parents. Kill your parents. Kill your parents.
A very strange commercial from someone who I assume really likes their pizza. Realistic renders of cartoon characters. So this one I assume is just talking about the entire form of art that has, well, these AI renderings of cartoon characters. The reason it's on this iceberg is just because of how creepy and uncanny valley their appearances are. I mean, just look at some of these. These things are terrifying. I like this one.
Super Mario in real life.
Roly Poly Nanokorobi Yokai. So this is a game released in Japan to teach children how to speak English. Not just speak it, but also learn the alphabet. The problem is, once again, that with most of the things in the animation department on this list, the animation is absolutely horrifying. Just look at this. This is very off-putting for even adults, so I don't understand why companies think children aren't going to be scared of this, as if parents are probably just as terrified. Sally Acorn Sex Doll. So I must have wrote this one in the middle of the night because I honestly don't remember writing this one, and maybe it's because I blocked out of my mind. So I'm just gonna have to read the entire script that I wrote for it. This one supposedly is a very weird and strange sex doll created by a man who made it look like Sally Acorn from the Sonic TV show. That's pretty strange in and of itself. It could be on this iceberg just for that reason. The problem comes when he supposedly used what many people believe to be a human skeleton as the sort of blueprint for designing this doll. A very strange one, for sure, and here are the pictures, or the picture that I found at some point, so enjoy that. Shoeboxes Africare. This was an ad campaign that ran in 1995 showing footage from the Rwandan conflict and how the children were affected by it, showing children stricken with hunger, sickness, pestilence, and other terrible side effects of the living conditions and the war. The ad then cuts to a thing saying, "Please send us your old shoeboxes. We are running out of coffins." This is an extremely dark ad that hopefully drove the point home for spreading relief to places that need it most. The Sad Story of Henry. So this is the third ever episode of the original Thomas the Tank Engine show. In this episode, a train named Henry hides from the rain in a tunnel because he does not want his paint to get ruined by the rain. He never wants to leave despite pleas from the people, and the people asking him to leave even after it has stopped raining. So, they do what any sane individuals do after attempting to remove him. They remove the train tracks so he can't move, and they block off the tunnel that he's in to where he can only see outside, but never actually leave. A very strange story within the episode, and I don't really know what it's meant to teach kids. Maybe not to be stubborn, I guess? I guess that is the good way of doing it, and they did it in a way where they could mentally scar children for a long time afterwards. Snickers Old Lady Commercial. This is a commercial which aired, I believe, during the Super Bowl in 2010, and it shows what appears to be a very tall person wearing a very creepy mask of a woman, kind of reminiscent of the Leatherface mask he wore in the first Texas Chainsaw movie, and they then begin putting Snickers into a woman's cart, and the woman eventually walks away extremely creeped and disturbed out. It turns out that these were just two children in a trench coat, and this was a Halloween ad, and yeah, it's just a really extremely creepy ad. But in looking for this one, I did find a Snickers ad where Betty White gets tackled in the mud, and this one's really funny. Spec Ops: The Line. Spec Ops: The Line is a game that released in 2012, and you play as a man known as Captain Martin Walker. Your job throughout the game is to find the lost squadron of soldiers in the sandstorm-riddled city of Dubai. Your team is led by one Colonel Conrad, and you go through the events of the game as normal, but as you proceed through the game, some events don't seem as they actually are. When you finally reach the end, you discover that the squadron is dead, but not only that, the man who had been leading you the entire game, Colonel Conrad himself, is dead too. After your squadron had died, your mind riddled with PTSD, you began making up the entire story in your head, wishing that you could stop it from happening. The game has multiple different endings, however, the one canon one is by far the darkest and shows the main character shooting himself and ending the game. A pretty good game overall that had pretty good reviews when it released, and just check it out if you're into third-person shooters. Spitting Image. Spitting Image is a show made in Britain, and it ran from 1984 to 1996 with some relative success. The show was revived in 2020 and ran until only 2021, and from everything I've seen, the show isn't great, just okay, but it features satire of people who are relevant to the time of the show releasing, and all that's really creepy about it is these dolls that were used in the show. It's basically what it's known for, and that's really it for this one. This House Has People in It. This is a 12-minute long short film made by Alan Resnick and aired to a 4 a.m. audience on Adult Swim in 2016. This one is very interesting, and honestly I could make an entire video on this one just in and of itself, because it has very good suspenseful horror that builds out through the entire short film. It has just a very sinister nature of the video, as it takes place through video cameras that is in somebody's house that it is implied somebody is spying through. Kind of like Paranormal Activity. A very interesting one, I recommend you watch it. I don't want to spoil too much of it because of that, go give it a watch. Too Many Cooks. This one is actually related to the last entry, as it aired during the 4 a.m. program on Adult Swim the year prior, in 2015, and it was created by Casper Kelly. This one, while I don't like it as much as This House Has People in It, is still a very good watch, and is just a very well-made satire on sitcoms of the 80s and 90s, and just their intros that came with them. Not really creepy or disturbing, it does have some elements of that, but just a very good one. Well worth the watch if you have the time. Who Are You Running From? So back in 1998, Nintendo released the Game Boy camera. Along with it, the Game Boy printer. You could take pictures with the Game Boy camera and print them out onto the Game Boy printer. You could also view the pictures on the Game Boy itself. If you used the Run option, there would be an Easter egg that would pop up showing the African plains saying, "You are now crossing the equator." A harmless and simple Easter egg. However, randomly there was a chance that when you press the Run option, a camera shot would appear of one of these men with these creepy faces and these creepy add-ons to them, and the Easter egg would there say, "Who are you running from?" Extremely creepy, especially for children who discovered this by accident. I'm sure they did not want to use the Game Boy camera afterwards. World 4-4 Ghost. This is in reference to a ghost that can be seen at the end of World 4-4 in Super Mario 3D Land for the Nintendo 3DS. It can be seen at the very end of the level, behind a fence, just staring very creepily at the player, not doing anything, just sitting there. Supposedly a hacker who hacked the game found that this ghost can be found in many other of the haunted house levels, however it basically is impossible to see without actually hacking the game. A very interesting and creepy Easter egg that I'm sure a lot of Mario fans already know about. Infinite Fun. So starting off tier 6, really weird. I can't find a lot on this other than this very disturbing picture of a distorted face Sonic. I can find plenty of pictures with this character with plenty of different tags and other things, but I can't really find on where it originated, who created it, or why they created it. So that's all I really have for this one, so I'm sorry for not finding more on it, but here's the picture. 9. So this one I assume is referring to the animated film 9. That was created by Shane Acker and was released in 2009. The movie's story simply consists of 9 ragdoll creatures wishing to fight back against machines that have overtaken a post-apocalyptic world that has no more humans. It's a very strange film, not great, but pretty decent with the animation and pretty decent voice acting. Just a very strange watch, but one probably worth watching for the animation alone. BME Pain Olympics. I'm surprised this one is as low on the list as it actually is, but nevertheless, here it is. So the BME, or Body Modification Enzyme Olympics, are a series of internet shock videos that were released from the early 2000s all the way to the late 2010s, and all they do is showcase people doing horrible things to themselves to prove their tolerance of pain. The most famous of these is a guy chopping off his own pencil. These were proven to be fake, most all these videos, however, they still have shock factor and are still pretty hard to watch sometimes, even knowing that they're fake. Batman Arkham Asylum Sirius. Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on Serious Earth, is a graphic novel written by Grant Morrison and was published in 1989. The book has some very extremely dark, and I mean dark, topics that are talked about really well in the book, actually, showcasing things of insanity and just disturbing things like that. It's Batman. Course, it's going to showcase things like that. And the comic follows Batman as he is asked by the Joker and plenty of other villains from Batman's rogues gallery after they have escaped and are now threatening to kill guards unless Batman meets with them. It's a very well made novel, and I don't want to spoil too much of it because I really would love if you guys read it. Even if you're not a massive fan of Batman and you're just kind of into really good books or good novels, it's very good. And if you are into Batman, I'm sure you're going to really like this book. And what it is probably most well known for is these terrifying visuals I've been showing. A very creepy book, a very cool book, a very well written book, and just a very good read. Ear Booker Productions logo. So this logo was used from 1997 to 2011 by the Ear Booker Productions TV company. I'm not going to be playing the video here due to the fact that it has extremely fast strobing lights, and along with that it's accompanied by very loud screaming. A very poor choice for a TV show company, and one that ran for 14 years, which is a very strange decision for it to run for that long, given it's, well, probably given a few people seizures, epilepsy, stuff like that. So very strange decision for a logo that was used for a little too long. Eternal Darkness. Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem is a game developed by Silicon Knights and it was released in 2002. This game truly is an amazing experience that uses very strange effects of sanity, of distortion, fourth wall breaking, and other various effects to have a great sense of immersion on the player, making you feel like you yourself might be going insane. With a story that takes place with a bunch of different characters spanning over thousands of years, it's a very interesting game that truly is immersive, and it's a truly amazing game that you should definitely check out. Hamster Hell. Hamster Hell is a video created by Lee Hardcastle in 2012 and was posted to YouTube. I'm not going to get into too much detail because this one's pretty disturbing and has things definitely too much to talk about on YouTube. The video uses claymation to convey one of the most disturbing stories that is in this entire Iceberg, where a boy who owns a hamster gets another hamster when clearly his parents are disapproving of this, and despite this, he gets a female hamster, and the male hamster begins doing very inappropriate things, abusively, to the female hamster, which leads to her having children. She then at some points proceeds to eat said children, is killed by the owner, and then the dead hamster is then eaten by the male hamster. Yeah, this one's extremely dark, and I'm just not going to show it here. You can go look it up. It'll be linked in the description, so have fun with that. Happy Appy. Happy Appy is a creepypasta story about a supposed TV show that aired on Nickelodeon in the year 1999. The show supposedly was about main character Happy Appy, an apple, teaching kids how to treat certain injuries like cuts, bruises, and other smaller injuries. But as the show progresses, the injuries keep getting more and more gruesome, like dismemberment and, well, other very disturbing things. Eventually culminating in the final episode where it is apparently shown that Appy is trying to teach kids how to survive the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Pretty standard early 2010s creepypasta. Not a great story, obviously, considering the story takes place in 1999 and it's teaching kids how to survive the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Pretty weird, but not a great story, just one that's here. I Have the Body of a Pig. So I honestly really couldn't find a lot on this one outside of a YouTube video, which I believe is from a game called Faith. I also found this picture just extremely weird, and I'm sure there's a lot more on this one, but I couldn't find a lot on it. So please let me know if you have any information on this one. Just put it down in the comments, just let me know. Interview with a Cannibal. So this one could be referring to the Armin Maiwez case. I think it might be referring to that one. However, I'm going to talk about the other one that it could be talking about, which is about Issei Sagawa. So Issei Sagawa was a Japanese man who, while staying in Paris, found, killed, ate, and abused a woman's body while in his stay. While he did that, the police found out that he did it, and it was proven that he did it, but because of loopholes in the legal system within France, he was set free, and he lived as a free man up until he passed away in November of 2022 after committing the crime in 1981. He gained a ton of fame, reaching basically celebrity status in Japan for what he did. And yeah, he was just a sick man who got rewarded for his sick crimes, and the only real, I guess, okay with this story is that he did say he felt horrible about doing it, and the fact that he never actually tried to do anything like this again, so maybe he did genuinely feel bad. Either way, he should have been punished and wasn't, so oh well. Island of Dolls. The Island of Dolls is an island located only about 17 miles away from the heart of Mexico City. This island has a strange history, as the person who put up all the dolls left his family to start a new life. Shortly after arriving on this island to make that new life, he discovered the body of a young girl who had drowned, and just a short distance away, he found a doll, which most likely belonged to the girl. Because of this, he wanted to put the doll on a nearby tree next to where he buried her, assuming this would appease her. However, he felt as if her ghost remained, and that she would not be appeased by just one doll. So over the course of 50 years, he placed thousands of dolls around the island in an attempt to make her happy. A very creepy place, one that you can visit, but one that was created out of a man's mind to make good of a tragedy. Mama Max. Mama Max is a YouTube channel owned and operated by Max Holloway. He started his channel by making videos about how his life sucked, and he also made hentai reviews. And yes, you heard that right. He would later delete these videos, however he doesn't mind them being on YouTube still and being reposted. And he did this after he started making animations, and eventually moved into making videos attempting to expose child predators, and he even claimed that some ordinary gamers, a very famous YouTube channel, were child predators. A very strange one, very strange story, and he seems like a very good dude, just very weird story. Nicholas Fedorov. So this was a YouTube channel that uploaded very creepy and off-putting animations, just very strange. It appears that his main channel was deleted, however, so there only exists re-uploads of his videos.
Hey Larry, are you a connoisseur of the dispatch of information regarding the political, religious, and ceremonial beliefs of the tomato caucus implemented within the state of tomato metaphysics? No.
Alright, too much to talk about this one. Just another channel that makes very creepy, disturbing animation. Nickelodeon Black Licorice Game. In 2002, Nickelodeon created a flash game where all you do is hand kids wrapped candy or black licorice. If you hand kids regular candy, they'll say thank you and do nothing. But if you hand any of the kids black licorice, they will get upset, exclaiming that they do not like black licorice. Before they sprout devil horns, their face transforms into some very creepy and disturbing demonic face, exclaims that they don't like black licorice. Very strange one, a very weird one from a kids TV show company. And you can still play this one on archives.org, so go check it out if you want to. Poco Poco Shopping. So this is a video made in 2014 by Nana825763 and features two dolls in what I believe is a store, and as they are talking, flesh, blood, guts, and other viscera begin raining down around them, with very demonic text appearing. And yeah, it's just a really strange and another creepy video on YouTube. Very, very weird one. Very creepy dolls and just creepy messages in it. Fun fact, this was apparently made by the same person who made username 666 Creepypasta, which is not talked about in any of the videos, but it is in this Iceberg, I believe, so yeah, just a fun fact about that one. Polybius, Angry Video Game Nerd. So this is a video created by the Angry Video Game Nerd of him discovering the game Polybius. It's a game that we talked about in a a previous tier of the Iceberg, and he discovers the real arcade cabinet and slowly goes insane as he can't stop playing it. Kinda how the legend is of how the game was so addicting. Throughout the video, he suffers with bad side effects, and he continues to play the game anyways, spiraling into insanity. The video ends with him, and I honestly didn't actually know what happened, but according to a description I read, it says that his soul was taken into the machine and he died. I don't know, a weird video, and I'm sure you've seen it if you're a fan of the Angry Video Game Nerd or Polybius, but go check it out if you haven't, if you're a fan of either of those two. Poochie and Pansy. Poochie and Pansy is an animated YouTube series following two puppies on their very strange adventures. The animation's okay, and I didn't watch too much of it, but from what I can tell, the video seems to get extremely weird and become filled with scenes of real life and other strange stuff for animation. Right around the third or fourth episode is when that starts. Videos are strange, and I do believe it's some kind of ARG. Didn't look too much into it, but the videos I believe are being remade in better quality nowadays, so go check those out if you want to. Raka Raka. Raka Raka is an Australian channel ran by twin brothers Daniel and Michael Filippo. They make very violent skits, some of the most popular ones featuring their version of Ronald McDonald, but they've made with other characters. I actually remember watching one of these videos a long time ago, like when it first released. Here is that video.
With your next Happy Meal, get a free Ronald McDonald! Billy, what do you think of Ron?
Ronald is so much fun!
What you eating there, Billy? Is that Hungry Jack's, Billy?
They say the burgers are better at Hungry.
It's all the same, Billy.
Cut. Sorry. Ron, this isn't a part of the script.
No, remember Hungry Jack's been part of the script! The you looking at?
I just thought it was really funny. I don't know why, I just thought it was really funny at the time, so I just remember this channel from a while ago. Radofak Placha. Radofak Placha, or Nosy Blankets, was a character on the Czechoslovakian show Slaneko? I think that's how you say it. Yeah, not really much to talk about other than, once again, this one has a very off-putting design and just a very disturbing, uncanny valley vibe to it. Pretty damn disturbing, but apparently people, kids and adults alike, in Czechoslovakia love this character, and it's a very well-known and well-renowned character within the country, so I'm glad that they can enjoy it. However, I do not. River Twigs Bed. River Twigs is a sub-level in the Super Paper Mario game. The lore of the game actually says that the river gets its purple color because it is filled with tears of sinners. The place itself isn't necessarily creepy, has a disturbing overtone. The problem comes with the music. The music is absolutely terrifying for what is a kid's game. It's a spin, of course, on the River Styx, the place where the dead go to cross hell. Just an overall creepy place for a kid's game, but really creepy music. But yeah, a very cool place, very creepy though. Roro-chan. So this one is actually a real life and really sad story. In 2013, a girl who went by the online name of Roro-chan _1999 started a stream saying her intention was to end her own life, because throughout her life she always wanted to be extremely popular and extremely famous. So she pushed a crate towards the edge of her 13th story balcony, all while people were exclaiming don't do it. However, a lot more people were exclaiming to jump off, and they were encouraging her to do so, saying that she would gain the popularity that she always seeked. Eventually she built up the courage to do so. The camera fell, hit the ground, and shortly after you can hear a loud thud in the distance. It was confirmed that this was her and that she had passed away upon impact. The really sad part is that she was only 13 or 14 years old when she ended her life. And while she did get the fame she was looking for temporarily, it had to come at such a horrible cost. SML, The Secret Door, so Super Mario Logan, as the series is called, is already an admittedly creepy YouTube show. And in this video, main characters Jeffy, Mario, and Rosalina, and yes, those are the characters, go into a secret door which apparently nobody is allowed to go into. However, they go in there anyways. They find a bunch of corpses, having limbs torn off, strung against the walls and chained to the walls, and then they are subsequently chained up by the person who is doing this to these people. And as they are about to die, the police come in and save them, and we discover that one of the police officers, his brother, is the one doing this. A really strange, creepy video. I don't really know why this one is just so strange, but it is. Shed 17. Shed 17 is a fan-made parody and a very dark parody of the Thomas the Tank Engine show. The events that take place in this 30-minute long video are strange, and without really spoiling it, there's a lot of death and a lot of incidents involving World War II. You learn the supposed dark origins of Thomas the Tank Engine, and it even got a sequel in a video called G1 Project. This one, honestly, I could make an entire video in and of itself. If you're into really creepy sort of parody videos or spin-off ones, go check it out. It's a very good alternate take on a cartoons kid show. Survive and kill the killers in Area 51. So this is one of many servers within Roblox. Nothing honestly scary about it. The enemy design's a little creepy, I guess. From what I can tell, it's a really popular server, gets a lot of internet traffic, and not really a scary one, just sort of the atmosphere, and the enemies are a little creepy. The Bikini Bottom Horror. The Bikini Bottom Horror is a surprisingly pretty well-made comic made by Still in the Simulation and was posted to the Garfield Reddit. He originally was only going to make the first episode as a one-off thing, but after some extremely positive reviews and a very good reception, he decided to continue making more. The comic takes place in a destroyed Bikini Bottom and features some very good art, pretty good writing as well, so pretty decent. If you like comics like this, just go check it out. White House, Why You Never Became a Dancer. So this is a song created by the band White House and was released in 2003. The song features extremely graphic lyrics and talks about someone getting abused in very inappropriate ways. And due to that reason, I will not be playing the song or even showing the lyrics. Just a very graphic song, and if you do want to see the lyrics, they are posted online. Just be warned, they are pretty bad. The reason I think this is just so strange is, well, this GIF of a woman is posted onto the first video that you see, and from what I can actually tell, it was not made by White House themselves. This was just added and it became the most popular video, so let me know if this is the original video or if this is just something someone created. Either way, very creepy. The Wyoming Incident. The Wyoming Incident was a TV station hijacking similar to the Max Headroom hijacking, and the event occurred sometime in 2004 and shows a video saying very ominous text like "You can't hide" and "Free your mind," while showing some very creepy and disturbing looking black and white faces while playing very distorted music the entire time. The broadcast was from a news station in Wyoming, and the hijackers have never been caught. This one, unlike the Max Headroom incident, is fake. This was an ARG made back in 2007, however it was so convincing that it had many people searching for the actual hijacking for years before it was confirmed to be an ARG. A very cool one to watch, but doesn't really need any research past that. Zombies are attacking McDonald's. This is yet another server from Roblox, and basically, as the name suggests, zombies are attacking McDonald's, and you must stop them from doing so. Nothing really to say about it. It's not overtly creepy outside of this Ronald McDonald zombie. It's been out since 2008 and gets okay foot traffic, and other than that, there's not really a lot to mention about it. Lamondo.com. Lamondo.com is a website that allows you access to play a Japanese game called Fancy Island. However, when you click on the anime cat girl, and yes, I thought I would include that detail, the game will start with a loading screen, and then we'll cut to some very disturbing pictures with strange audio and visuals. The objective, to me at least, wasn't very clear. I believe you have to escape this dungeon labyrinth. Probably way off on that description, and I'm sorry for that. Just a really weird, creepy flash game to play at night if you ever are looking for a good scare. $14 $14 is actually the third game in a series published by someone who is probably not insane. There are 3 games in the series, none of which have any story to them at all, and all the games are just a bunch of very elaborate rooms with very strange geometry and nothing really to do other than explore these rooms. There's occasional creepy kids' laughter thrown in for good effect, and not a very well-known game, and actually the only videos I've even seen on this game are from this guy, so I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check out the content. Something I thought was funny is that the main menu doesn't have anything going on outside of it except of the word no. Thought that was kind of a funny detail. Very strange games. A.O. Oni. A.O. Oni is a Japanese survival horror game that released in 2008. This is a game where you play as 3 teens and you go into a supposed haunted mansion. However, the mansion is not haunted, unless you count this thing to be haunting. This is a monster that follows you around and is clearly just a man's face, distorted and made a purple color to look weird. Just very off-putting if you're playing it by yourself, and I believe Markiplier actually made a video on this a long time ago, so go watch that if you're interested. Bjork Stalker. Ricardo Lopez, also known as the Bjork Stalker, was a person who was obsessed with the Icelandic singer Bjork. He was so obsessed with her to the point where he wanted to be engaged with her. After she began a relationship with a person he was not approving of, he for almost 9 months made video diaries about Bjork, and after these 9 months grew so tired of not being with her that he did what any normal person would do, and he sent a package on September 12, 1996, with a sulfuric acid bomb inside that when opened would blow up. After sending the letter, he would return to his residence where he would record one last video diary, and then afterwards he shot himself, ending his life. He was found in his Hollywood home, and the police notified officials, and nobody was harmed. Very messed up individual. Thankfully no one was injured. It's a very strange one for sure. Captain Scarlet. So this one I assume is talking about a show that released in 1968 called Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons. The show takes place in 2068 and follows a man named Captain Scarlet and his squadron as they attempt to stop a group of aliens called the Mysterons from enacting revenge on Earth after Earth accidentally attacked Mars, which was their home. Show's very different, very unique, and was very popular in Britain as well as even in some other places that it aired. Not really a creepy show. The only real creepy part is the very sinister look of the enemies. But outside of that, I really couldn't find much to talk about of this, so yeah. Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. This is a 4-part comic series created by Cullen Bunn and Dalibor Talajic. It's a very, very dark comic in which the normally funny Merc with a mouth, Deadpool, goes completely insane beyond what already insanity he was at, and begins killing every single superhero within the Marvel Universe. Everyone from Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and many others. Yeah, it's just a very well-written book, a very well-drawn comic series, and if you're into comics, Marvel, anything like that, give this one a look. Dolphin Muzzle. So this is a video uploaded on December 30th, 2007 by the North Fur Latex Company. The company specializes in making things for people who, well, dress up as animals. As shown in the video, they are showing off their dolphin muzzle. If this wasn't already one of the most terrifying things on the entire platform, I don't know what is. Nothing sinister behind the company, I'm sure. However, when you click on this video and see this, it is a lot more than unsettling. Just a very strange one for sure. Jerk Beast. No, this is not a website that you're thinking of. This is actually a movie made by Brady Hall and was released in 2005. The movie follows a group of men who wish to start a band called, and I quote, Steaming Wolf Penis. And no, that is the name. This movie is about the rise of the worst band of all time, as the description states. And this movie, from everything I've read, is one of the most vile, disgusting, racist, sexist pieces of media ever put to screen. The film is extremely dark for having many elements of horrible topics, like doing inappropriate actions with people who are no longer alive, extreme forms of perversion, and other really bad sensitive topics that I will not go into. Just a horrible movie that gets, from what I've seen, horrible reviews, and this is probably one of the worst pieces of media on the entire Iceberg, and one I don't recommend you look into. John Dillerman. This is a Danish stop-motion kids TV show that was actually made pretty recently. The show is about a man named John Dillerman, or translated, John Willy Man, and the reason for that will be evident in a second, This is a children's sexual education show that features the main character as having a penis that can stretch to any length and has a life of its own. Yes, that is the entire plot of the show. Apparently it's a hit with Denmark, and that's where it was created, so people there love it. It's a very strange show, and one that actually had physical health people within the community get together to help create the show so kids would not be misunderstanding what the show was trying to teach. A very weird show, one that has good intentions, I'm sure, just doesn't make it any less strange. Killer 7. Killer 7 is a game developed by Grasshopper Manufacture and released in 2005. This is a game where you play as an assassin, and you have 7 other personalities, all of which have unique abilities for, well, killing people. Doesn't seem like a very dark game outside of the concept of you being a hitman, which there are, of course, hitman games, so it's basically that, except you have split personality disorder. Pretty good reviews from what I've seen, and might be worth a look-see. Yeah, nothing too creepy about this one, honestly. LHOHQ. LHOHQ, or Laughing Horse Orpheus Headquarters, is probably one of the weirdest websites on this entire Iceberg. This is one that I was familiar with prior to making the Iceberg. It's a website that, once you click on it, sends you down a basically rabbit hole of just strange documentation from CIA and FBI documents to things from phone companies, electric companies, a ton of old stuff, old documents, and just very strange things. Nearly everywhere is clickable on the website and will lead you to different links, different places, and supposedly, from what I have heard, there are apparently private phone numbers and addresses of current sitting and previous presidents. The website supposedly also has things like classified CIA documents, but I don't believe this has ever been proven. The leading theory is that this is an art project made by a band, but that has not been confirmed. Blame It on Jorge actually made a very in-depth video, a very detailed video explaining LHOHQ, and I will leave a link in the description, and I highly recommend you check out his video. You could simply get lost for days just by clicking on new pages in this website, so do be warned. There's a lot of pictures of people nude, strobing flashing lights on basically every page, but it could definitely be worth the time to check out just to see what you can stumble across in there. Limbo: The Organized Mind. This is a 1966 short film created by Muppets creator Jim Henson. This is just a very creepy video featuring a character named Limbo that is just a mouth and eyes. It is very creepily animated, and it features Limbo, who is in and of himself voiced by Jim Henson, going through his own mind as he explores both his thoughts, good and bad, as well as his fears.
You know, I've learned to walk around inside my own head. Now, that may sound silly to you, but it's been very, very helpful to me.
Well, there's the high school when I was... Oh, boy. Now, something's going wrong here. No, what's that? No. This is all wrong. It's not supposed to... Oh, no. I'm out of control here. No. I gotta get out of here.
From the way of just how creepy the animation is to the way that the video ends with there being loud screaming, it's definitely one to check out, and one that I'm sure has a lot of character in it from the person who created it. MTM logo, St. Elsewhere finale. MTM Enterprises was a TV show producing company that produced many hit TV shows of the 80s, and their logo would appear at the end of their shows. The logo would be changed depending on how the show was or what the show was, or just certain things, but it always stuck with the same concept. An orange tabby cat named Mimsy, and the cat was believed to be used as a spoof of the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayers logo. A cute logo. That's all there is for this one, with the exception of the fact that with the St. Elsewhere finale, a show produced by MTM, a show of a crime drama, the cat is seen on a gurney on life support before you can hear the machine flatline.
Along with Paul Reiser and Joe Jackson on Late Night with David Letterman.
So, shows the cat dying, in essence. A very strange logo. One that makes sense for why the show released, but doesn't make sense as to why they would create it anyways, of featuring a dying cat. Cat didn't die, of course, just it was for the end logo. However, I don't know why they ever thought that was a good idea. Go check that one out if you have the time. Mad Father. Mad Father is a game developed by a company named Sen and was released in 2012. The game follows a girl who has to uncover the dark secrets of her father's past, and in those dark secrets, they go to some pretty dark territory, such as talking about themes of violence and other things like divorce and domestic abuse. The game has multiple different endings, and while I don't want to spoil any of them, the true ending is a very, very good ending to what seems to be a quite amazing game. And considering it just got a remake for the Nintendo Switch and is still on Steam, I highly recommend you check it out or even play it for yourself. Memory Hole. So this one is just the concept and one that's probably very real. This one takes inspiration from George Orwell's book 1984 and is basically a program or mechanism that can allow for the removal or even deletion of files, documents, notes, pictures, just anything that people who don't want those to exist won't allow them to exist. Just any kind of media that people wish to be deleted from existence. The concept is most commonly applied to governments across the world who are most at risk of having very sensitive information spread around that could be detrimental to any of the people involved. So what do? Attempt to erase all traces of it from everywhere, from people's private collections to the internet. This goes for anything, from books, movies, shows, and internet. Erasing all the data from within those makes it impossible to prove it existed. They do this to give the illusion as if it never even existed. And to prevent this, a man named Russ Kick created a website called Memory Hole, and he had wished to keep as much information in the public realm as possible so there would always be a remnant of that information out there. The website began all the way back in 2002, and it made its last post in 2009. However, a successor website was created in 2016 by the same man, and still posts to this very day. An extremely interesting topic, and one that you should definitely research, and one that I think you'll enjoy. Mila's Children. This is in reference to an extremely disturbing secret scene in the game Psychonauts. A character by the name of Mila was the main caretaker at an orphanage. The children all loved her and she loved the children very much. One day she went out for groceries, but as she returned she noticed the orphanage was inexplicably caught on fire. And because of this and her psychic abilities, she could hear the children inside in agony while they were burning. While playing as her during this, you can discover a secret room. Inside of this secret room are the words, "It burns, and why didn't you help us, Mila?" A very disturbing thing from a game that's generally considered to be a kid's game for the most part. Monkey hate. So this is a topic I honestly don't really want to talk about because I'm familiar with it, so we're just going to go through a brief summary. Monkey hate is basically a very sizable group of people, surprisingly, that make videos while they are abusing any kind of monkey that they can, usually in extremely horrible and graphic ways too dark for me to get into on YouTube. However, YouTube doesn't seem to care, as they would never really delete these videos. They never cracked down on it, they didn't care to. Yeah, it's just a very disturbing topic, and too many people, thousands of people, support these videos, actively encourage them, and eventually YouTube did start cracking down on them a lot more, so these people began moving to other platforms like TikTok and posting their videos on there. This is absolutely horrible, and I do not even understand how this can even exist, and it should be taken down on every platform immediately. No Players Online. No Players Online is a game set within a game. You play as someone playing an old unfinished Capture the Flag first-person shooter game, and in the game, the developer has put his wife's dead soul in the game because he wanted to make the game capable of reviving her. If you finish the game, she can never be revived. The game resets and her soul dies with her. There's a not too deep story, but a pretty fun story. It's a pretty creepy, basically just flash game that can be beaten pretty quickly. Go try this game out. It's free on Windows. It's just a strange and fun experience. Or go check out someone like Markiplier's video who did a video on it. Noise music. Noise music is a genre of music in which people will just take random noises, mix them together, distort them, just change them in some way, and the end product is something like this. Very, very creepy sounding audio that apparently, from some of the comments I have seen, is apparently soothing to some people. I do not understand how, but apparently they find it soothing, so I'm glad for them. Not really much to talk about other than just how creepy some of these songs can sound. Pingu Runs Away. Pingu Runs Away is the 14th episode in the British television show Pingu. In this episode, it features main character Pingu, and as he's acting out at dinner, gets scolded by his parents and is subsequently spanked by his mother, leading him to run away. Eventually he encounters ice monsters outside that scare him, and he wants to go back home. The episode itself isn't necessarily creepy, just kind of disturbing for showing a kid being disciplined in some unformed fashion, and because of that, it actually led to the show being unofficially banned from airing at any TV stations. It also probably didn't help that the ice monsters scared probably a lot of kids everywhere because they were pretty creepy. Pink Morning Cartoon. The Pink Morning Cartoon, or the TV8's Kids Fun Fest, is a religious cartoon that aired in the 1990s in Columbus, Ohio. It's a very creepy looking cartoon, and its existence is only known about thanks to one YouTuber who uploaded footage asking what it was, as he showed recording of it on a VHS tape.
To Grandma. Just as soon as they start this overdose, Grandma said, maybe you better go out and play in the sunshine. Well, it'll do you good. Every child needs lots of sunshine and fresh air.
A strange piece of lost media that is still attempting to be solved to this very day by a very dedicated group of people. And once again, Blame It on Jorge made a very good video explaining the search for this piece of lost media, so go check out that video if you're interested. A strange but fascinating one to look into. SpongeBob Sick Pants. SpongeBob Sick Pants is a crudely made animation by Chris O'Neill, and is very, very disturbing. The video features things such as Squidward ending his own life, and SpongeBob removing someone's head to make it into a Krabby Patty.
I guess Squidward's jacking off.
I want a Krabby Patty!
Wait 1 sec.
I really don't get how people can come up with stuff like this. It's very strange, very disturbing, and one that I probably am not going to show too much of in this video. The Walrus Pingu. The Walrus is a horrifying creature that appeared in the 21st episode of the kids' TV show Pingu. Another lovely looking thing that aired on a kids' TV show. And this thing appears in Pingu's dream while he is asleep and torments, laughing the entire time with a very creepy and disturbing laugh. I have no idea why this episode was banned from airing in certain countries. It can't be the reason that the walrus is probably the most terrifying thing next to the very creepy Humpty Dumpty thing we talked about earlier. Just a very strange decision for a kid's cartoon, once again. Yelling Creature. So this is a video that, from what I can tell, dates all the way back to 2006 that was posted on YouTube. The video began getting remixed recently, gaining relevancy again, and it features this abomination saying no in a distorted voice before the video ends.
No.
Not really a lot to talk about with this one, other than it's pretty damn creepy. Zdzislaw Beksinski art. My apologies if I butchered that. This man, and I'm not butchering his name again, was born in 1929 and lived until 2005, rest in peace. During his life, he made a very strange and surreal works of dystopian art, and a lot of these are actually pretty decent pieces. It's just the overtones of darkness which take center stage and show mostly post-apocalyptic worlds. Definitely interesting piece of art, and I'm sure that they have lots of stories behind each one. Go check them out if you have the time. Rotten.com. Rotten.com was a website created in 1996 and was somehow up all the way until 2017. However, it did stop receiving updates in 2012. All this was a shock website which depicted very graphic images and videos of showing things of people, having things that were once inside their body, not in their body, people jumping off of buildings, just very gross, disturbing things that were meant to shock people. I'm not really going to go into the graphic nature of it, but it was a very gory and horrible website that is not up anymore. However, there are plenty of other websites just like it out there. Angry Kid. Angry Kid is a British TV show that stars a kid named Darren Walsh, who is a very troubled kid who just is causing constant mischief. Nothing inadvertently bad about the show other than the fact it just kind of looks absolutely horrifying. It is a very strange looking show for sure. The show did, however, run from 1998 to 2019, so it must have been pretty popular for some time, and other than that, not much to talk about. Blood over intent. Blood over intent is probably one of the strangest and most messed up things on this entire iceberg. Blood over intent is a YouTube cult that was founded by a man named Mark Braun. The cult has a ritual in which they begin recording a video, they write out their quote-unquote divine message, and then they will cut or prick themselves to bleed on the paper to have their blood on their intended message for the universe, as they view blood as the currency of the soul. Then they must, and this is a requirement, post the video to YouTube, and in doing that, they will join their blood not just with each other, but their soul with Satan.
I intend to bring forth heaven to earth for the greatest good of humanity. I intend to free all from time and money.
It is a very strange one, and there's plenty of people who follow this cult. I don't understand why, but they're doing their own thing, and as long as they don't hurt people, I guess they can do as they want. Both Nick Crowley and Blame It on Jorge, once again, both talked about this, so check out their videos on it if this sounds interesting. Canceled Courage PS1 game. So this one, despite the fact of what the name suggests, wasn't actually a canceled game. This was a game that was released in 2021, and the game is in relation to an ARG created by Neither Nathan. This is a game that was clearly made to just look like a PS1 game, and unfinished. The game actually has quite a few Easter eggs, hidden messages, and the game just has some very creepy visuals like this. A pretty cool ARG, and one you should probably check out if you're into old PS1 type games. Chip the Black Boy. Chip the Black Boy is a ventriloquist doll created by David Lieb Hart. This doll is used in music videos that have the music sung by the doll. The songs aren't very good, but the problem with this is just, well, the kind of creepy nature of ventriloquist dolls as a whole. A very obscure piece of media that was created by someone who was very active in the Adult Swim community for creating, well, Adult Swim content. This is a film created by Huck Botko. And in this film is about a man who has grown angry with his family members, and so out of spite, he bakes multiple different cakes, all of which have very disgusting things about them. From the first cake having blood from people with hepatitis baked onto it, fruitcake where a bunch of people spit in it, such as homeless people and just random people in New York as a whole, and a cake where he dipped deceased animals into the batter. Despite what it actually shows, it is actually a very well-made short that is, well, gets the point across of being very disgusting and gross out, as very convincing acting, and just overall is pretty decent, so go check it out. Do you like The Red Room? Do You Like the Red Room is a Japanese urban legend where a pop-up will appear on your computer, and if you close it, you will die. The legend says that the pop-up will start saying, "Do you like?" If you continue to close it, it will eventually be followed by an echoey voice asking, "Do you like the red?" with a pop-up saying the same thing appearing. At this point, you will not be allowed to leave the house, room, or wherever you are at, and the room will grow darker and darker with a dark shade of red, and then eventually nothing. In this time, you will cut yourself so much and bleed all over the floors and walls, and subsequently die from the ensuing injuries. It is a very strange urban legend, but a pretty creepy one, and, well, it's Japanese, and Japanese people are known for having pretty good urban legends, so if you ever want to hear a video on those, let me know. Godly Recon. Godly Recon was a supposed YouTube channel back in 2007. The channel never received a lot of attention, but that all changed about 6 months after a video of the woman who ran the channel, screaming for 20 seconds, appeared on the channel. The channel was quickly taken down after the video began gaining popularity, and YouTube began hiding videos of it ever existing. That is the story. However, there is no evidence of it having ever been released. The first mention of this Godly Recon channel was actually by a channel named Nation Squid. In one of Nation Squid's uploads, it was a top 10 creepy things on the internet, and in one of the slots, he speaks of this channel. The first and only proof of this channel's existence. Before this, there was never even a mention of it. So it is theorized that he created this as sort of an ARG, and eventually disposed of it, but due to supposed videos never actually existing on YouTube, many people believe it's fake, and he even removed it from the video later on, so there's little evidence for this channel even existing, and is most likely a hoax. Grave Robbing for Morons. Grave Robbing for Morons is a short film that was made in the 1990s about a few teens that show what appear to be real human bones, claiming that those are people that they have dug up. And in this video, they show how to teach people how to rob graves to steal valuable items left on corpses. It is most likely a fake movie, of course, of the found footage type, and if it is actually fake, it has some very convincing, pretty good acting, and overall just the unknowingness of the entire thing gives it a very creepy vibe, creepy aesthetic, and another one that has a lot of evidence for being real, however might not be. Go check it out if you feel like it. Pretty long short film, but a very weird piece of film history. Hitogata. Hitogata, or White Humans, is a piece of lost media that's existence is still yet to even be confirmed. The commercial supposedly aired in Japan sometime in the mid to late 90s, and the commercial was asked about by somebody on the 2chan boards all the way back in 2004, asking if anybody had remembered a creepy commercial where two white figures would blink in and out of existence. One of the things that gives credence to this existing is somebody asked the same question on 2chan boards 5 years prior in 1999, asking about a commercial that sounds pretty similar to the one asked about in 2004. No footage has actually ever come up, only sketches of what it might have looked like. The commercial has a very dedicated group of people on the Lost Media Wiki looking to find it, but with no luck, unfortunately. Once again, Blame It on Jorge did a great video on this one, and if you are interested, I have left the link in the description. Kanye Quest 3030. So this one I could probably make a video of just in and of itself. That's just how extensive this is. Kanye Quest 3030 was a game that released in 2013 and is just overall very strange. From what I can tell, the base game just has you going around rap battling clones of famous rappers from the 90s. It also uses all the likenesses of them which have, well, been taken without the people's consent that they are based on. Anyway, the game has you do rap battling with them, but at the start of the game, it asks you what you want to do. You can type in the word ascend, and if you do so, it'll send you to a room as a butterfly that lets you explore, and if you complete the room successfully, you'll be given a message along the lines of, you have ascended. It'll also then ask for your name and address. The game is very strange, and people just assumed it was tied to a cult that would, well, track your IP and follow you around, do some other weird things. However, apparently it was made by a girl named Clara Hope as a high school project. Whether that's true or not, couldn't tell you. However, it's a very unique and cool game that you should definitely look into. Max and Ruby 0004. This is a lost episode creepypasta about the kids' TV show Max and Ruby. In this creepypasta, a man discovers a lost episode of Max and Ruby by the name of Max and Ruby 0004 after purchasing a DVD case for his sister's birthday. And in the episode that is shown, it shows extremely disturbing images of Max and Ruby with dark, soulless eyes. And it also makes mention of how their parents died, and then both Max and Ruby end their lives. A very disturbing, but pretty decent creepypasta, and just very creepy for the time when it came out. Mr. Mix. Mr. Mix is a creepypasta about a game that released back in the 90s, called Mr. Mix. The game was a typing game which progressively got harder and harder, becoming impossible on the 5th level. The game would play very creepy music, and would just have very weird sounds played throughout in general. Eventually, according to the creepypasta, hackers were able to access the game's final level through hacking. However, when they did that, when you bypassed the 5th level, it would download an absurd amount of files into the computer's System32 directory, causing the RAM to fill up, causing the computer to become very slow. After being able to bypass this, which before, prior to bypassing it, if you deleted any of the documents, would completely blue screen your computer, causing it to shut down and be irreparable. After they bypassed that, however, they were able to get onto the 6th level. However, they never spoke of what they saw on the 6th level because it was so traumatic, the things they had seen, they showed signs of PTSD afterwards. The hackers eventually all went missing. However, one was found trying to kidnap a girl from a grocery store, and when questioned, the only thing he had to say is, "I am Mr. Mix." A very creepy creepypasta, and just one that I'm sure a lot of 2000s kids remember. Out of This Dimension, Star Fox. This is an alternate ending area for the first Star Fox game for the SNES. The area is very strange and actually surprisingly is not mentioned in the game very often, which is weird considering it's pretty easy to get to. Once you arrive there, there's no way to leave. The game simply ends and the credits roll. Just a creepy area having these planets just staring at you, and given its relative easy nature to get to, probably scared a lot of kids who got it. Just a very creepy alternate level, and one that I'm sure a lot of people have seen. Pingu's The Thing. So this is a short film created by Lee Hardcastle, the same person who made the stop-motion claymation for the Hamster Hell video. And it depicts a story that involves, well, a parody of the 1982 film, The Thing. It shows Pingu characters being killed in very violent, but honestly pretty well animated ways, and it's just a good 1.5-minute short film involving Pingu, and a pretty good parody of a pretty good movie. Creepy and cool, give it a watch if you feel like it. Shape Play. This is a game that I will go over very briefly. The game was developed by Japanese game developer Illusionsoft and released in 2006. The game has you play as a politician named Messiah, just released from prison, and your objective is to stalk and rape a mother and her 2 children. A very normal game that they try to make better by having the man who commits these actions dying at the end of the game. That makes the gameplay so okay. It doesn't really help that this horrible game actually never even comes out and, says what you're doing is bad. It just says to do it. Not that that would make it any better if they said it was bad, just thought I'd mention that. A very bad game that's been thankfully banned in many countries for very obvious reasons. Satan's Sphinx. Satan's Sphinx is a supposed video that was banned by the United States government because after people would watch it, they would end their own lives. An internet mystery that was mostly debunked by Scare Theater. However, this one still is a mystery, as the origin of this picture is not very known and is the most common picture associated with the video. A creepy internet mystery that doesn't need a lot of research. However, maybe you could research this photo and find some answers. Shockumentaries. Shockumentaries are a genre of movie or TV show in which the program will talk about or show violent or disturbing things in a documentary fashion. These types of movies were first made notable in the 1960s by a company called Mondo Films. The company would produce these shockumentaries depicting very taboo subjects that I'm not really going to get into here. These scenes looked so real that people just assumed that they were real. However, it was confirmed that they were all acted and scripted, and they were done so well. However, they are fake. They just show what would happen in these situations. A very strange and creepy genre of movies and TV shows. Bert is Evil. Bert is Evil is a trend that began in 1998, and it started with the website created by Dino Ignacio. And it involved pictures of Bert from the kids' TV show Sesame Street in situations that aren't very kid-friendly. The trend eventually gained popularity, and people began photoshopping images of Bert standing next to unfavorable political figures, and him being a terrorist, depicting him causing real-world terrorist attacks. A very messed up trend, and one that I'm surprised gained as much popularity as it did, and one that's pretty easily accessible to view on the internet. Plurds. This is a YouTube video created in 2007 depicting a very weird furry art project. Best way I can describe it. It's just a video dedicated to showing art of furries with some of the worst sounding music, if you can even call it that. And there's really nothing much more to this one other than it just is very weird. So we're gonna move on. Gemini Home Entertainment. This is a YouTube series created by Remy Abode and is widely considered one of the best analog horrors on YouTube, and for good reason. The series takes place in an alternate universe where a company named Gemini Home Entertainment releases videos that talk about Earth and the solar system and many other things. However, these videos also speak of the impending destruction that is coming to destroy Earth, and I don't really want to spoil too much of this series because I honestly would love for you guys to go support these people and check them out. However, my personal favorite content creator on the platform, Wendigoon, made a very in-depth video on this entire series, so if you want to, go check that out, go give him some love. And yeah, I'll leave a link to both Wendigoon's video and Gemini Home Entertainment in the description. Gerald Scarf Art. Gerald Scarf is a cartoonist who was born in 1936 and had a long 60-year career working as an artist. He made many different works involving politics, and he also worked with Pink Floyd to design multiple album covers, and his work is pretty well known overall, and nothing too inadvertently creepy, but it does have very creepy overall design, and the expressions of the characters just give it an off-putting sort of vibe. Go check out some of his work if you have the time. Very interesting to look at, and yeah, that's it for this one. Jan Svankmajer Animations. Jan Svankmajer, and I assume I pronounced that wrong, is a filmmaker born in 1934 and creates stop-motion films that are all very, very unique. These are all relatively creepy with very strange art direction. However, despite that, most of them are actually pretty decent and very well made. His first film was released in 1964, and to this day he is still producing films, having just released a film in 2022. Not much more to talk about. If you have some free time, go check out some of his works on YouTube. They're pretty sure most of them are on there, and they're pretty decent, as I said, so go give them a watch. Ochimoto. So this one I believe is referring to a YouTube video titled Ochimoto's Dancing, which features a very creepy, distorted woman doing, well, just very creepy things, and features music that is a remix of the Christmas song Carol of the Bells. In this remix, some extremely weird, unsettling things are said, and I honestly don't even know what is going on half the time, so go watch the video for yourself since I will not be playing it here. And if you watch the video, it will become very apparent why. A very creepy overall video and one that's pretty disturbing. Shoko Asahara. Shoko Asahara was a horrible man who led a Japanese death cult from the years of 1984 until 1985. He was a man who led a group of people to kill and, well, do other extremely heinous crimes. And eventually, all of these acts led up to an attack on March 20th of 1995, in which members of his cult used sarin gas on a massive group of people in the Tokyo subway system. 13 people unfortunately passed away, and thousands more were affected with illness afterwards. He was apprehended along with several other people on May 16th of 1995, and was given the death penalty. However, this monster was allowed to live until July 16th of 2018, as well he sat on death row for that entire time. He used the Bible to back his beliefs and claimed that the world needed cleansing from the incoming nuclear Armageddon. A very horrible person who thankfully will not be causing any more problems for anyone else, hopefully. Strawberry Cubes. Strawberry Cubes is a game developed by Lauren Schmidt and is kind of similar to a game that we talked about a little bit ago, 14/?. The game doesn't really have a plot from the looks of it. All you do is walk around through a very glitchy environment, and that's about it. You move around, you just do random things, and it's a very unique game that is free on Windows if you got the time to play it. Its creep factor basically just comes from the fact that there's nothing, really. It's a very strange game for sure. Go check it out. Thalison. A video titled Blue Channel Thalison was uploaded to YouTube in 2021, and features what appears to be a 1980s-ish ad for a drug known as Thalison. The commercial starts out normal and simply asks anyone watching if they feel like happiness, sadness, anything about their mood, and if it is inhibiting their day, and if so, to take this drug that artificially restores emotions. The first commercial ends, and then the second one begins, asking the same thing, and then begins to show some very strange imagery with some extremely creepy and off-putting images, and some of these supposed emotions are Nage, Parfum, and the most popular one with the most memes behind it, Dorselessness. It's a very creepy but cool analog horror, and I'll leave a link to the video in the description. What Are You Thinking? What Are You Thinking is a video that is, well, shrouded in mystery. It features a man who is wrapped in garbage bags and has their face covered. Shortly after they wake up, they then, well, vomit what appears to be blood of some kind, and then they hold up a sign which appears to say, "What are you thinking?" Relatively creepy video that was supposedly found on the deep web and then put on YouTube, and shortly afterwards it was removed for violating the terms of service. Not any real info on this, and it's just a really creepy video, and you be the judge if it's real or not. 6996. 6996 is a video that released showing a very creepy face that is flashing up and down to very creepy dubstep music. There's really no info on this one, and since the video has lots of flashing images, I'll link it in the description, so do not watch it if you are photosensitive or prone to epilepsy. Cryptid Dance. Cryptid Dance is a YouTube video that was made by Peter Conibus. I assume it's Peter, I don't know, I'm sorry, and was released in 2013. This video features a very creepy head talking to the audience, saying some people are more affected by some kind of electrical impulses than others. He then proceeds to talk about how you should scream and how it could save your life. The whole time he is talking about this, the video has creepy music playing in the background, and not a video to watch late at night just due to how weird and creepy it is. Go check it out. Links in. Fun with Roadkill is a disturbing YouTube video that was released in 2007 and is made to be a light-hearted way of saying all the different things you can do with roadkill. The video is very, very dark and features many dead animals that had been run over, and it even shows what is most definitely somebody's actual cat, a very gross and graphic video that somehow hasn't been taken off of YouTube's platform. Gunselman Sullivan Marshall Productions logo. This is a TV production studio that made 80s sitcom Growing Pains. The logo isn't really honestly anything terrifying, it just features a man who falls off of a roof of a house or a church or something like that. Either way, he falls screaming the entire way down. Despite how it sounds, it actually isn't really that creepy, just kinda off-putting if you hear the scream randomly at night and are not expecting it. Yeah, it's kind of funny, but I don't know what it is with TV show companies having just some of the weirdest logos imaginable. Please Come Back to Me. Please Come Back to Me is a video that released somewhere on the internet, I believe sometime in 2021 on YouTube. The video starts by showing a hill and someone asks, "Do you remember our first date here?" Then probably what is one of the most disturbing images that is going to show up in this entire series appears on screen, and is followed by near incoherent monstrous speaking. Then another extremely creepy face appears and a story plays about how a man named Martin, I assume the first face we saw in the video, is being told not to hurt his children by, I assume, the second face in the video. He then, after being told this, apparently kills the person telling him not to hurt the children, who I believe is the children's mother. You then hear loud, altered screaming, and then the video abruptly ends. This is probably one of the most creepy ones in the entire Iceberg, and one that I'll link in the description if you want to watch it. Rangila Productions. Rangila Productions was a Pakistani movie studio that ran from 1969 all the way to 1994 and was pretty well liked in Pakistan. Their logo went through a few revisions, but the main one we were talking about was used from 1972 to 1973, and the logo features a massive explosion followed by people firing guns in a war zone, followed by trench warfare. All the while, there are shots of fire, screaming people, gunshots, very normal logo with nothing wrong at all. I'm sure was suitable for the people who were watching the programs that they were watching. Once again, another strange TV production logo that makes a lot of sense to have. The Snuff Puppets. The Snuff Puppets is a company founded by Pauline Caddy, Simon Terrell, and Andy Freer in 1992. These people decided to bless the world with their absolutely horrifying snuff puppets, which are people that walk around in outfits, designed to look like anything that would creep literally anyone out. And these monstrous designs don't stop them, or anybody for that matter, as they have toured over 25 different countries showing off these puppets, and yeah, just by the look of these things you can tell why they're on the Iceberg in the first place. Zabi Vaka. Zabi Vaka is the mascot of the 2018 Russian FIFA World Cup team. Nothing wrong with the logo itself. However, shortly after the premiere of this logo, the furry community started making some rather explicit drawings of this character, and for obvious reasons, I won't show any of those pictures. I don't want to talk about this one anymore. S-Sack, or Sack, I don't know. One of the two. S-Sack is a YouTube channel that posts extremely creepy and unsettling animations, and its animations really just consist of dark animation and sometimes creepy music, and really nothing to talk about, just another creepy YouTube channel. Mope Mope. And for the final one on this tier, this is a YouTube video posted by Opti Animation in 2017 and features a bunch of dancing flowers dancing to a kid's song. And about halfway through the video, the music is very distorted and the flowers are changed into having human mouths on them. Extremely off-putting. I recommend you check this one out if you got the time. 1444. So we are off to an absolutely lovely start with this part of the Iceberg, and as I said, These topics are extremely disturbing, so I warned you, this is your final warning. Here we go. 1444 is a shock video in which on October 17th of 2019, a YouTuber by the name of Gleb Korobliov, ended his life live on stream. Straight to the point. He did this by, well, shooting a rifle point blank into his own head, and the video was then posted on YouTube by some very sick individuals, and they gave it the nickname 1444. But for obvious reasons, all of the uploads and re-uploads were taken down, and for those reasons, I won't show the video here. I'm not going to tell you where you can find it. All I know is I saw it when it first came out, and I didn't even have to really look up too much about this one because I had seen it. Let me tell you what, this thing is extremely disturbing. Please do not go watch this unless you hate yourself. The reason for him ending his life is, well, unknown. It is believed he did it because of a Russian meme known as Neapoka, a trend which the person would shout these words and then end their life. It's not common, but it is a Russian thing that, well, they tend to do when committing endgame, as some people put it, and it is very unfortunate. Plenty of memes in the hours and days after the video being released began showing up all over social media platforms, which caused the video to gain a lot of notoriety and was taken off of the internet with great haste. The video seemed to have gained very special attention from the Spanish community, saying that the video was actually cursed, and that this video can, well, as I said, be found somewhere on the internet. I do not recommend you watch it. Australia's Naughtiest Home Videos. This is a television show that lasted not even a full episode. The show was broadcasted live to an Australian audience who were, well, less than pleased with what was going on with the show. The show was aired on September 3rd of 1992 and featured videos shown in a similar format to America's Funniest Home Videos, or even a show like Ridiculousness. However, the videos featured in this show contained things, while not graphic, they did feature a lot of nudity with no blurring, and, well, most live audiences found that pretty reprehensible. And the show was being live broadcast for a total runtime of 60 minutes with commercials. However, the show never reached the 60 minutes, as it was cut off after only 36 minutes total. The show was rebroadcast in 2008, and it was actually censored, and some of the rants from the host, Doug Mulroy, were taken down, being completely removed from the full episode. The show was not very good, truth be told. Everything that was shown wasn't too funny, the host wasn't generally very likable, and overall just wasn't an amazing show, so... And yeah, other than that, not much to say, just a very strange one, and probably one of the most tame ones in this entire part of the Iceberg. Blue Whale Challenge. The Blue Whale Challenge was a supposed internet challenge where someone would be blackmailed into doing 50 different challenges over the span of 50 days, one challenge a day. The challenges would start out easy enough, like them telling someone to watch a scary movie or listen to just a certain genre of music. But eventually, the challenges would get much, much worse, and would eventually culminate, and inevitably, in the final days leading up to it, one of the challenges being cutting a blue whale into your arm, and then on the very final day, you would end your own life. If you failed to do any of these challenges, whatever happened with the blackmail would, well, be exposed. The primary targets of this were young children, since they were easier to blackmail, and, as I said, they were blackmailed into doing this, otherwise they would have whatever they were being blackmailed with leaked on the internet, or however it would have happened. The apparent first victim of this challenge was someone by the name of Rina Plenkova, and on November 22nd of 2015, she posted a selfie flipping off the camera, showing her having a scarf around her mouth and nose, and it appeared that she had dried blood on her with the caption, "Nia Bai," the same caption used in, well, the video similar to the 1444 video. She ended her own life, and the challenge supposedly originates from Russia. There's not a whole lot known by it, however, it was thought that 21-year-old Philip Budikin was behind the challenge and was arrested in November of 2016. He stated, and I quote, "There are people, and then there's biodegradable waste. I was cleansing our society of such people. Sometimes I start to think that it's wrong, but in the end, I had the feeling I was doing the right thing. There have been over 200 deaths supposedly linked to this challenge, and while this is all speculation, as there's no real true evidence to this being linked to this challenge and could just be misinterpretation from adults, and it is in fact just depressed teens or kids who do need help. Either way, it's very sad and very unnerving that this is happening, and either way, I hope a lot of this gets resolved. Either way, many very tragic deaths have been linked to this blue whale challenge, and, well, in and of itself, I could probably make a whole video on, as there's a lot to talk about with this topic. Go research it for yourself if you're interested, but do be wary, it can get pretty intense at times. Columbine footage. This is in reference to the footage found on the security cameras of the April 20th, 1999 school shooting that took place at Columbine High School. The footage shows students getting underneath tables in the cafeteria of the school, and you can later see the two shooters walk in. There isn't really a lot to talk about with this one. It is just extremely, horribly sad footage of what went on. Thankfully, in this footage itself, I don't believe there was any deaths involved. I believe there was only a couple of injuries. Still doesn't change the fact of the horrible thing that went on that day. And yeah, that's about it to talk with this one. I don't really think I'm going to show any footage from this one for obvious reasons, but it is on the internet. Can find it. You can go look it up if you're really interested. Death of Bud Dwyer. Bud Dwyer was Pennsylvania's state treasury secretary from the years of 1981 until 1987. In 1986, he was charged with bribery, and only a few months later, on January 22nd, 1987, during a live press conference being held on live TV, he pulled a loaded revolver from an envelope, and after several seconds of telling people to get back, he eventually put the gun in his mouth and pulled the trigger. However, the cameraman kept on rolling, and in fact zoomed in on the now deceased Bud Dwyer, and the scene was, well, very graphic. People were screaming and crying, and it's just a very horrific scene altogether. The reason for doing this was, well, after he was charged with these allegations, he felt that his name would be tarnished, and this caused him to feel really, really upset with himself, causing him to commit the actions that he committed on that day. While the footage is available online, I'm not going to tell you where, and I suggest you don't go looking for it. However, that isn't going to stop you. So, be warned, if you find it, it is very, very graphic. And yeah, this is just a horrible way for someone to go, and not much else to talk about with this one. Dolly Flesh. Dolly Flesh is by far the most disturbing YouTube channel on the entire Iceberg. This is a channel ran by Leighton LaBute, and he was born on September 11th, 2000, and featured videos depicting claymation that had extreme gore, violence, dismemberment, sexual assault, and lots of other very disturbing things. After he decided to stop making these kinds of videos, he moved on to showing his 3 new hamsters. And the next day after this, and the next day after he posted this video, he killed the hamsters by stabbing, drowning, and putting one into a mic. He was arrested for the killings of the animals, and he was actually suspected of murder due to his claymation showing him taking their arms and legs away from the overall mass of their body. He was later released on a $1,000 bail. He also did very, very strange things like eat spaghetti out of what he called a sex doll. A very weird and disturbed person who hopefully gets the help he needs, because clearly he needs some of it. Gotchi. Gotchi is something I'm going to cover very, very briefly. This is a type of music that takes audio from gay pornography and turns it into music. That's it. Not going to be playing the music here, mostly because I'm not even going to listen to the music. I read what it was, and I didn't need to listen to it. I can already assume what it is. I'm good to go. So, if you want to go listen to it, sure, it's on the internet. Given the fact Google search results show quite a few different videos that I assume contain what I'm describing. So, if you want to go look at it, have fun. I won't. Next one, please. Inmu. Inmu is an anime book and TV series that features extreme, what can only be considered as pornography that involves tentacles. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. And the story opens with a character being sexually assaulted. It features a lot of extremely sexual content and is extremely weird overall. I didn't really look into this one a whole lot, but you can find the book online on Amazon, so if you want to buy the book about it, then go ahead, I guess. That's about it for this one. This one was really weird. I didn't look a whole lot into this one. Nevada Tan. Nevada Tan is in reference to this 11-year-old Japanese girl named Natsumi Tsuji, who killed her classmate and close friend Satomi Matarai. The killing happened while they were both still in school, and after Natsumi killed her classmate by cutting her throat open with a box cutter, she returned to class covered in blood, and after her teacher had noticed this, she discovered the body of Satomi and called the police. After being questioned, Natsumi admitted the only reason she did it was because of some messages that her friend had posted on the internet, which led her to do that. She was sentenced to 9 years in reformatory jail from what I could get. The details are kind of sparse, honestly, on the punishment she got. And the Nevada Tan meme comes from the fact she was wearing a Nevada hoodie when she committed the crimes. It was a very, very sick crime, not much more to talk about with this one, and given the fact it is Japan, and Japan being very unforgiving with stuff like this, I'm genuinely surprised she got away with what she did for just only having 9 years of reformatory jail. Paluchin Entertainment. Paluchin Entertainment was a YouTube channel ran by someone that only is known as by the name as Matthias. He started out his channel by doing videos on horror games like Five Nights at Freddy's and SCP Security Breach. He also did animation videos. These animation videos would contain gore, violence, and lots of screaming. After going through all of this, he decided the next best course of action was to, well, commit many acts of sexual harassment towards many of his classmates while he was in high school. He would send explicit videos and other creepy things to his classmates that he wanted to send them to. The explicitness I'll not go into, but just know it's some very weird stuff. Also during this time, he was seen making racist comments towards Mexican people, Haitian people, and several other races, claiming that he hated them, and he said very derogatory things about them besides that. Shortly after all of these things happened, a video popped up on YouTube showing Matthias beating, throwing, kicking, and stomping his pet cat. The cat would sadly pass away later due to its injuries, and to my knowledge, he received no punishment for any of this. Not a single thing he did went punished, unfortunately, and I cannot understand why, as I believe at the time when he injured and killed the cat, I believe he was 18 years old, so I don't know how they couldn't have charged him as an adult, but they didn't, so there's that information. The only punishment I have even remotely seen that he's had was he had his YouTube channels taken down. A very disturbed individual that definitely needs to seek help. And yeah, that's it for this one. Putrid Sex Object. I am sorry in advance for this one. This is a short film created by Matt McKay in 2006 and shows a man in woman's clothes having intercourse with a dead, rotting carcass of a cow. That is really all that needs to be said. I don't think I need to go any further. There's nothing more to this one. I believe they used an actual dead cow. I could be wrong. Even if they didn't use a dead cow, it is still extremely graphic, extremely grotesque, and I do not recommend you even look this one up because you will probably be placed on a watch list somewhere. Don't ask how I know what the contents are. And yeah, that's it for this one, so don't even bother searching this one, please. Run the Gauntlet. Run the Gauntlet is a website that challenges the person doing the gauntlet to watch many videos of disgusting things, from people being shot to people being, well, blown up. to many other extremely grotesque things that I will not mention here, you have to get through what is probably a couple hundred videos, and the goal is to watch all of these videos without stopping, throwing up, just get through the entire thing and do it in the least invasive way possible to your senses, is the best way I can describe it. This one I'm sure a lot of people have heard of in some form or fashion because it's not just a website. There's just challenges to quote-unquote run the gauntlet, which can imply many different things from many different sources or people or websites or things. So it's just a challenge people made up to see how sick and twisted people can get in certain points. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people have done this at some point. Whatever it may be, run the gauntlet. Some people still continue to do these challenges, and do what you want, I guess. Russian brick video. Russian brick video is a video that surfaced on the internet showing the events of a dashcam footage taken on June 12, 2012 in Russia, which shows Olga Gaikovich and her husband as well as their infant child, and they get into a car to go somewhere. As they are driving down the road, a semi loaded with bricks hits a bump or something, and it launches a brick out of the back of the truck into the passenger seat where Olga Gaikovich was sitting. It crashes through the windshield, killing Olga basically instant. Now, while you don't see anything violent or grotesque, you do get to hear the absolutely horrific wails of a man who just watched his wife pass away right next to him in a very gruesome and grotesque way, and it is just horrific to hear this man and how distraught he is. It's an absolutely disturbing video that, not just given the fact that somebody of course died in it, the main thing is just the horrific cries of not just the man but the toddler who has no idea what is going on. The video can be found on YouTube. I don't recommend, as with most of these, that you look it up, but it is on YouTube. You can find it, you can watch it, and if you are going to, just know it is extremely disturbing. So, watch at your own discretion. Snuff films. Snuff films is referring to the general idea of, well, snuff films and what they are. Snuff films are a type of film which typically show people actually being killed, whether it be for the plot of the movie or, in most cases, compilations of just people being, well, unalived. These are filmed in a fashion to where then they are put into movies, and it's just a disturbing thought to think about. Snuff films are an actual real thing, and there are supposed cases of companies out there using it in their footage and releasing it to the public, but none of these have ever been proven, and I think it would be weird if companies in Hollywood were filming people actually dying and then putting it in public. That'd be, well, very dumb. However, the idea in and of itself probably does exist and comes from stories that come from the dark web of, well, people buying and selling these films of people being killed. So while the idea of snuff films being produced by Hollywood and stuff like that probably isn't real, the idea of it being sold for people's entertainment to just watch people killed is a very disturbing and a very horrific idea, and you can get into a rabbit hole of this one in and of itself. A very interesting one to see what kind of different pieces of information you can find about this stuff. So this one I recommend you search if you want to. Not much more to talk about with this one, so let's move on to the next one. Where the Dead Go to Die. Where the Dead Go to Die is a movie that was released in 2012 thanks to a man named Jimmy Screamer Claus. I assume that last name is fake. And features extremely violent and graphic CGI that, when looking at, is unpleasant for all five senses. There isn't really much to talk about with this one, actually, other than the fact of how terrifying it looks because of just how graphic the CGI is. It has very violent themes featuring things talking about demons and mass extermination, death, and just other very weird, scary, terrifying subjects. And also features terrible imagery that I don't believe any human should ever have the unpleasantry of observing. I don't think it's the worst thing on the iceberg in terms of being disturbing or violent, but it sure is up there. And a way to cap off this iceberg, as it is just an absolutely strange movie. Not a good movie, just really weird, really graphic. Go look it up for yourself. Go look up the trailer if you want to. It's not going to kill you. It's not one of those things like the Russian brick video. But it is just still a very creepy and disturbing thing, and a great way to end off this iceberg. Alright, everybody. If you watched to the end of this very long video, I thank you so much. I hope that you enjoyed it. The video wasn't exactly, or isn't exactly, to what I would consider to be my current standards, as the lighting in those videos is a little bit off, and just the editing style isn't what I would consider to be what I do fully, as with the newer ones I'm trying to make them more comprehensive with more information. But nonetheless, I still hope you enjoyed it. It does mean a lot to me. And I'm hoping to release the next Iceberg video, one that will have all new information for you, hopefully soon. But it will come out when I'm able to get it to a standard that I think is acceptable, and one that I think you will enjoy. But I don't want to keep you too much longer, as this was already over 2 hours long, so I thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. And yeah, that's about it. Goodbye.
We gon' be okay, we gon' be alright.